Hello, everybody, and welcome to Decoding the WSL, the podcast dedicated to the stats and facts in the WSL. And today we are here to talk all about aerial fantasy. I'm your host, Sam Biccarino, and we have, two familiar faces. If you've listened to our Game Week 1 preview, you will have heard them very recently. We have Tom Maher on with me. Tom, how are you doing? You've changed.
Yes. Obviously, it's 2 days later, Sam. Of course, I've changed. But yeah, I'm very well, thank you. I'm enjoying previewing the new season, and yeah, bit of fantasy. I'm ready to tear my hair out and celebrate in equal measure.
Yeah, I cannot wait for it. I miss fantasy. I think it's so good for the women's game to have fantasy in now. I think it was something that was really missing, and I'm really glad that it's back for another season and the aerial fantasy are carrying on with it because they do it so well. Izzy, you are here with us as well. Obviously, we've just looked at Game Week 1, and it sounds like if listeners go back and see our Game Week 1 preview, it sounds like we're going to be getting a lot of goals this weekend.
Yeah, we didn't have a single game to have no goals, so that's pretty exciting. I'm looking forward to seeing this goal fest that we've predicted. But yeah, really excited for the weekend. And as you said, fantasy football, I kind of dropped off slightly last season because I was finishing my degree and I kept forgetting the deadlines. But I've got notifications on, ready to compete this season. I can't wait.
Can't believe you'd prioritise your degree over something as important as Fantasy WSL. Obviously, Fantasy WSL has rebranded this season to Aerial Fantasy. If you had the app last season and over the Euros as well, it's still the app. You just need to update it if you haven't already. And then you can go and join our verified league in there as well. There is a Decoding the WSL league. Make your team, or download the app, make your team, and then go to the league section and you can join our league with the code Stats and Facts. I know we had about 200 and something people last year. Hopefully, maybe even more of you this year to come and compete. We're all in the league. All of the sort of guests that are coming on will be in there, as well as most of you that are listening, hopefully. If you are the person that wins the league this season, the Decoding the WSL League, there will be a prize for you. You get to pick from either 2 tickets to a WSL match of your choice from the following season or a WSL shirt of your choice. So really good prizes there that you can pick from. And there will be shout outs on the pod each week for not just who is top of the league, but who is the top scoring team across the league that season. So even if you're not right at the top, you might still get a shout out on the pod. So definitely come and join us, see if you can beat us. And if you don't, it's because I'm better than you. And if you do beat me, it's because you're lucky. We're going to go through our teams today, which I have changed so many times. I was just saying off mic that I sent on my team last week, and in a week I made 9 changes. And then 2 hours later, when we started recording, I'd already made another 3 or 4 changes. So I think I'm set now. And because I've looked at the friendlies that happen this weekend, I think I'm set. So unless any injuries or anything particular comes up, I don't think I'm going to change it again. We're going to go through sort of line by line, just talk about who we picked and why. And hopefully for you, listener, you might even get a good idea or something while you're there, because I know that not everyone has done their teams. I've done mine particularly. I don't normally do it on a Monday before the weekend, but I've done mine ready to go so that we can do this episode for you. And hopefully if we can help you make your team as well, or maybe highlight some people you haven't thought of, that'll be all good. So I'll kick us off with my goalkeeping picks. So I have got Fallon Tullis-Joyce in net. She is at home against Leicester in the first game. I don't think Leicester are going to be very good this season. I swore when describing them in the Game Week 1 preview. So that, I think, goes some way to show how bad I think they're going to be this season. And just Man United generally are so solid defensively. Fallon Tullis-Joyce obviously was joint Golden Glove last season, and I think she's going to get a lot more clean sheets this season. So she's not just a Game Week 1 pick for me. She's going to be someone that's going to be in goal most of the season for me. Alongside her, I therefore wanted to have someone cheap. I wanted a 4 million player, and the person I've gone for that is the new Liverpool keeper, Biccarino, who I think it looks like she's going to be their starting keeper. She's starting in their friendlies, and I don't think Liverpool are going to be amazing this season, but I don't think they're going to be terrible. It looks like when Manchester United have difficult games, like, when they play the other teams in the top 4, Liverpool don't. So I think like the first time Man United play one of the other top 4 is against Arsenal. Liverpool are playing Villa, which is a game that I might then consider at that point putting someone like Biccarino in. But yeah, those two are who I've got. I've got Fallon Tullis-Joyce on for the first game, obviously. Tom, let's come to you first. Who are your keepers this season?
Well, yeah, I'm being quite boring in the fact that I've got the exact same keepers because I feel like Borgrafe is the only nailed 4.0 keeper in the game at the moment, because obviously I think that Rachel Laws, well, the last I saw her, her arm was in a sling, so I don't think she'll be starting anytime soon for them. And then obviously Talis Joyce is just such a solid goalkeeper. I hadn't anticipated this because obviously you sent me your team earlier, Sam. So I did think of a couple of other goalkeepers, and I hope I'm not stealing your thunder here, Izzy, in describing them. But two definite starters at the moment are both visionaries. So Kinga Shemek and Yanina Leitzig are both visionaries. Shemek is 5.0, Leitzig 4.5. I think both of those, they don't have brilliant fixtures, but if they do get a clean sheet, then you get an extra 3 points on top of that, which is great. I think the only thing that I might consider is Borgrafe if we get a clear London City Lionesses number one in Lette or Orman. I think I'll probably move to them, but not 100% sure just yet.
One to keep an eye on, I guess. Izzy, hopefully you've got something slightly different, so we're not just all going for the same team throughout.
Well, I've got Fallon Talis Joyce, so I won't say much more about her. I was thinking of putting in Hannah Hampton, but just because of this first fixture of the season against Manchester City, I didn't go for that. But there's nothing to say that I might make a change before the match week starts. So we'll see. And then I've got Yamashita for Manchester City as well, because I don't really know who's going to be starting at Manchester City this season, because last season we saw a little bit of a combination of Kiara Keating and Yamashita, but I had her last season and she did get me quite a lot of points, so I've got her back in, and I think we'll just have to see how the season goes and how they're looking, and I might make a transfer, or I might stick to her, and a good one to have against those sort of middle of the table teams or lower teams if she is playing. So
Yeah, I think Yamashita is probably the player that's going to be playing for City. I know that obviously the new manager likes to play quite a possession-based game, and she's probably a bit better with her feet than Kiara Keating, so I think she's probably going to be the number one keeper. Let's move on to...
Sorry, Sam, I just mentioned about that the last pre-season friendly they played, Keating played the first 45 minutes and Yamashita played the second 45, so that was so helpful, Andre. Thank you for that. You could maybe do both of them though, right? You could have both of them in. They're both 4.5. Obviously, if Eartha Cummings starts playing, then that goes out the window, but you'd imagine not. But sorry, Sam, continue.
No, it's all right. No, it's a good idea as well, because I don't know how many Man City players people are going to have throughout the team. I know, not to give too much of a spoiler, but I haven't got any Man City players in game week 1 because they're away at Chelsea and I need the money for other areas, so I can't afford to have an expensive Man City player on the bench. Let's move on to the back line. So to start, I've got 3 at the back. I've got Anna Sandberg from Manchester United. I think that she is quite a good person to put in for now. She might not be someone that I have in all season, because obviously we're not seeing either Hannah Blundell or Gabby George in the squad at the moment. Sandberg's played both of the games in the Champions League qualifiers, and she's only 4.5 million. So yeah, I'm surprised that she's not even got 3% selected by at the moment. So I'm surprised not more people have got her. She's got a really good starting run to the season. Obviously Leicester at home is the first game. You're probably going to expect United to get a clean sheet from that. So, and she'll be the starting left back. So that was a relatively easy choice for me. Alongside her, I've got Lotte Moy at home against London City Lionesses. She is only 5.5 million, and I think of that Arsenal backline that are probably going to start, which is McCabe, Catley, Moy, and Emily Fox. I think they're going to be the back four, and Moy is the player that's the cheapest of those. To be honest, that's the only reason I'm putting her in. I don't think she's going to be the defender all season because Leah Williamson will come back in. But she's at least someone to have in at the start, and then I can make transfers as the season goes on. And then the third one I've got is Koga at Spurs. I do think Spurs are going to have quite a good start to the season. They've got a nice run the first few games. They've got West Ham at home to start with, And at 4.5 million, she seems like a really good prospect. We spoke a bit about her. I think it's actually the first preview that we did for Spurs, myself and Jacob. And she's come in. I don't know if she's had a birthday yet, but she was 19 at the time when she came in. She already had 19 caps for Japan. She's obviously a very good player, very highly rated. She's played full 90 minutes I think in both their preseason friendlies they've just most recently played, so there's a good chance she's going to play a full 90 minutes in this game, the first one of the season against West Ham. So that's why I've put them in. It's very much three players that aren't necessarily going to get many points going forward, but I think could get clean sheets, especially in the first game. The other two players that I've got on the bench are Ellie Carpenter. I've got her on the bench at the moment because I don't know. I think Man City will probably score, and I don't know if she's necessarily going to get many points going forward but she's in because Lucy Bronze is out at the moment. I don't know if you heard, but she has a fractured leg. So she's one of a very small pool of Chelsea guaranteed starters. I think I coined Bompastor bingo last season, and that's going to carry on. There's going to be so much rotation that Chelsea side. The other player I've got is Maz Pacheco on the bench. She's only 4 million. She's the cheapest player of the game. And she's started for Everton in their last two friendlies. I think she's probably going to be the starting left back, at least at the start of the season, maybe not as time goes on. But Carpenter and Pacheco are two defenders that I've got on the bench. Tom, I'll come to you first. Who are your defenders?
Yeah, so I've gone for maybe a similar kind of teams in the defence, but different players. Started with Katie McCabe at the back. I think that obviously she just provides so many attacking returns, puts in so many crosses into the box. Like, I think she's worth that premium price point. For her to be a defender as well. I know last year she was a defender, but on other games she's been put as a forward, and it's just been really frustrating because she never plays there really. So to have her as a defender is just is brilliant. I think I've also gone with Maya Letitia, so I put quite a lot of money into this back line. I just think that she's just been she's dangerous from a corner as well, and this is a really good defender as well, and a nailed-on starter. I've gone with Manuela Venegas as well for Brighton. She is a visionary pick at the moment, and she's also one that's good for a goal. I think she's a really good Colombian defender. A new signing from this summer. Excited to see how she gets on. And then, so they're starting game week 1 for me. And then I've got Rion Ishikawa on the bench, who's another visionary pick from Everton. And she's played most of their preseason, started most of their games. So I'm pretty happy with her being involved. And then the last one I have on the bench is Jade Rose from Manchester City. I think she might be one of the bargains of the season at 4 million. I think she's going to be a starting defender for City. She's played a lot of their preseason. She's so highly thought of in Canada, and I think she's going to be quite central to them. So I think she's going to turn into one of those picks that is going to be a budget enabler, but like the type of player who'll be 6 or 7 million probably next season, I reckon. That'd be my prediction. Yeah, that rounds up.
Sorry, I was going to say I completely agree with that on Jade Rose. I saw her at 4 million, and if she wasn't away at Man City first game of the season, she would be right in my team. Izzy, how about you? How are your defenders?
Yeah, so I've got a couple of the same ones as you two, but Ellie Carpenter there, I think, as you said, sort of guaranteed starter because Lucy Bronze is out, and also Bompastor clearly trusts her because she's coached her before. She's got so much experience in kind of top level football. Excited to see what she's done. I have got her in for game week 1 just because I've got her now, and I haven't got particularly. I'd put her over my other options. I've gone for Dominic Janssen as well. At the back there, she wasn't too expensive. I could fit her into my budget, and she did quite well last season on Fantasy Football. I do like that Manchester United defence, and I like their chances, and she's part of that as well. And they've obviously got a great goalkeeper for clean sheets too, and I think she's just good all round. I've also got Maz Pacheco like you, Sam, and I like what Everton's done this window, and I think she's very experienced in this league and doesn't come at a very high price point for what she could potentially bring. And then, like you, Tom, I've also got Jade Rose because, as you said, what a bargain! And I had that kind of 4 million left over, and I've heard some really good things, and she's obviously had some good moments in pre-season, so that's good. And then finally on the bench as well, Yana Fernandez from London City. I think she's really exciting. She's a young player coming over. I'm excited to see what she could do in the WSL, but not in game week 1 just because they're playing away at Arsenal. I just think it's a tricky one to be a defender, and I don't think they'll keep that clean sheet. So she's on the bench, but when they play some different opponents, I think she could bring some returns.
Yeah, LCA have got a horrible start to the season. I think they've got Chelsea not far into the season over either. So they are a team that I'm avoiding at least for the first few weeks, and we'll go from there. Midfielders, Tom, I'll let you kick us off.
Sure. So midfielders, I've got a double Arsenal midfield mainly for the start of the season. Caldente, I'm kind of like certain on, really. I don't really see her moving from the team unless she becomes injured or goes on a really poor run, but I can't see that happening. I've also got Manham, who I'm not 100% certain on. She might drop out of my team. I like her because obviously she scored 2 goals against West Ham, but she did come off the bench to score those goals. So, I'd be very interested to hear Izzy's thoughts on that, having been at the game, what she thinks of whether NA might start her on day 1 or not. But I think that because I haven't seen much of Arsenal's preseason at all, but I'm understanding that Palova's been playing quite well in that kind of attacking midfield role that Manham's used to. I've also got Rosa Kafaji on loan at Brighton. I just think when she's played, she's looked pretty deadly, and I think she's a nice price point as well. And then I'm just realising now that I've basically got former Arsenal midfielders, because I've also got Freya Godfrey in there. I just think that she's the best of the 4 million midfielders, to be honest, and I just didn't have any more money, I'll be honest with you both. And the last midfielder I have is somebody I'm really excited about, Ornella Vignola at Everton. She scored 2 in pre-season, 1 on their tour of Denmark, and she also scored at Goodison against Juventus as well. She's only at an ownership of 0.68 right now. Really exciting young players featured heavily in pre-season for Everton. I feel like she's worth the risk. So I'm excited to see how she gets on.
Yeah, I think that's a good shout. I won't ruin it just yet, but I also have an Everton midfielder in there that not many people have picked up on, less than a 1% selected by. Izzy, I'll let you go first though. Who's in your midfield?
So I've got Maisie Simons or Simmons. I'm not sure quite how to pronounce it, but so newly named Brighton captain. I am excited about Brighton this season, and I think that they are going to be looking good and looking confident. And as she's that captain, I think she'll, obviously be playing regular minutes, and that's a guaranteed starter for them. So I've put her in there. And then again, a bit like you, Tom, a double Arsenal midfield. I've actually gone for, of course, Caldente. I just think I couldn't leave her out. There's nothing that needs to be said about her. And then Kyra Cooney-Cross, actually, which I think is a little bit risky, probably a bit like your selection of Frida Marnham. I think that with all the news that Leah Valti's kind of looking like she's going to be departing the club, I think that Cooney-Cross is going to really have to step up into a slightly different role this season, and I think we're going to see more of her. We saw lots of her at the start of last season, and then not so much as Renée Slegger's kind of got into the groove of managing that side. But I think over pre-season she's been looking really good, really reliable, and I think, she just got loads and loads of strengths. So I've put her in there. And then I've got Freya Godfrey as well, £4 million, 4 million or whatever the currency on fantasy football is. Midfielder, so great. And I really like that goal she scored against Lyon in pre-season. I don't know how many people have seen a clip of that, but just from miles out, just into the back of the net, brilliant. So if she could do something like that for me and get some points, then fantastic. And then I've actually got Katrina Gorry as well for West Ham. So I had her in last season, and she obviously starts most games as the captain, which seems to be a bit of a common theme for what I've got on my team. But she just had some good moments last season, a couple of assists and a few goals, and especially against those kind of mid-table teams, she seemed to make quite a few returns. So she was someone that I definitely wanted to bring back into my side at kind of a mid-range price point. So yeah, it doesn't break the bank, but hopefully will bring some returns.
Yeah, I think that's fair enough. I think that the Katrina Gorry pick is especially interesting for me because I don't think West Ham are going to do that well, but she did really well last season. She came up with a lot of like important goals as well. So she's not necessarily the sort of player that's going to have 1 week of 20 points, but she might be like a consistent, getting 6 points every other week kind of thing. My midfield, I've got 2 Chelsea players in there. I've got Sondi Baltimore. I know she's probably going to be playing left back, but I think she is going to be having the edge. And I think she's so attacking from that left back that she's still worth paying that 8.5 million for. I think she's going to be worth it. The other Chelsea player I've got is Maika Kamano. She's 7.5 million, which I think is a bit more expensive than last season, but started the last 2 preseason games they played, and has less than 1% ownership. So there's a good chance she might be a visionary by game week 2. I have a feeling she had a really low ownership last season as well, which I don't particularly know why, because I guess I would say it's because Chelsea have that Bon Pastor bingo and you don't know who's going to play. But there's also the element of, well, if she's starting the games in pre-season, then it sounds like she probably will. She's doing that Bon Pastor's doing that on purpose so that she's going to start in the league. And then you've also got players like Baltimore, who like Baltimore's selected by 10% already, even though she's a Chelsea player. So people aren't afraid of going for Chelsea players, just they're not going for Mane for some reason. And I think it's going to be a really good one. I do have 2 Arsenal players as well. I've got Mariona, so that makes it a clean sweep for the 3 of us. I think quite a lot of people do. She's at just over 31% at the moment. 106 points last season, and one of the favourites to get the Ballon d'Or. Is a bit of a no-brainer to try and put her in, obviously as long as you have the budget. And then alongside her, the other Arsenal player I've got is Victoria Pelova, who we've spoken about already. I think she's... but I haven't watched the preseason games, but I've heard that she's been doing very well. It looks like she's going to be getting a lot of minutes. Obviously, missed a lot of last season through injury, but hopefully, for my sake, Renée Slegers is enjoying having her in the side, and she gets a start. And I think she could be really important against London City Lioness at the weekend. A player that I have from Everton that's on the bench that's also not selected by many people is Yuka Mimiki. I have got her on the bench, but she seems to be having a really good pre-season. She's only 6.5 million. She's selected by 0.77%. And she is my first sub on the bench because it seems like at Everton, she's just hitting the ground running. I thought she was one of Leicester's best players last season and will be a big miss for them. It's a big bonus to have at Everton, and I think could be one of their most important players. Onto the front 3, this is where generally the money gets spent. I think my front 3 might be the sort of average, like most expensive line in my squad. I'll go first. I've got Elizabeth Turland in 4 goals in 2 Champions League qualifying games so far. I think that 11 million is worth it. She was a bit of a, is it worth it? Is it not for me? But after seeing those games and seeing the goals that she scored in them as well, I think she's worth it. I've got Beth England in at 7.5 million. She seems to be fit and firing in pre-season. She's worth a pop as well, I think, because Spurs have quite good fixtures. I did actually, when I did this before, I did put Martha Thomas in briefly because she's got a goal in pre-season now. I think she's going to have some confidence. She might be good to get some good returns, especially because she's got low ownership. Beth England, I think, is just a safer option because I've got the budget. I think she's better to have in. But if I didn't quite have as much money, I think for 5.5 million, Martha Thomas, if that was the budget I had left, she would be someone I'd put in. But my third forward, although a bit cheaper, not quite as cheap as Martha Thomas, is Kelly Gago. She is at 6 million at the moment, selected by just over 3% of people. Got 56 points last season in basically half a season. So I think she might have had one of the highest points per game ratios in the league. In an Everton side where they are just looking more and more improved, I think they're going to be really good this season. I think she's going to be banging the goals in. She is someone who I think would have a lot higher ownership if Shakira Martinez didn't exist. Martinez obviously got 10 goals in that same half a season, but Gago got 6, which is a lot. And she didn't do it like Martinez did, where she got a lot in one game. So Gago got hers a bit more spread out. So yeah, she is my final sort of starting forward. All three of my forwards starting game week 1. She's obviously away at Liverpool. I think Liverpool, as we mentioned in the preview pod, I think Liverpool might get beaten this weekend, and I think Gago could be one to be on the score sheet if that's the case. Izzy, we'll come to you first. What's your front three looking like?
So I've got kind of my main, most expensive player on the pitch. I've gone for Alessia Russo, which I'm not feeling particularly brilliant about. I've never had her in my team before. I don't know what's kind of spurred me to do it this year. Obviously, joint Golden Boot winner last year. It must be something. I think it's something about having someone if so important for your own team that's just making me feel nervous inside that I'm going to jinx it. And I think maybe coming off a summer where she hasn't scored as many goals as she would have liked to in the Euros and then across pre-season. So I'm excited to see if she can repeat the form that she was in last year, because she had some amazing performances and really reliable at scoring those goals for Arsenal. So I've gone for Russo, and let's hope she puts one in the back of the net against London City this weekend. I've also gone for Michelle Adjumang as well, because she was only 6 million. And of course, she's probably not going to get those points kind of for playing the minutes, but I do feel that Brighton may call on her in moments when they need an impact goal, because as we've seen, that's what she does best at the moment, just while she's developing the rest of her game. And I think over the season, she might be a bit of a long-term return, because as she develops, she'll play more minutes and hopefully have more impact in different areas. And so I'm hoping that she's going to be worth the 6 million. And then I've got Shakira Martinez, just carrying on my West Ham sort of train over here. I think that, as someone said, one of you two said, I can't remember, on the game week 1 preview, that I don't put it past her to score against any side. I totally agree with that, because she's quite unpredictable, and she's able to score these goals. She's very powerful and physical, and I think I'm excited to see her this season, what she can do across a whole season. So I've put her in. I had the budget, but as I said before, I'm sure I'll be making a couple more free transfers before the weekend.
Yeah, there is obviously still a few days to go. It's Monday night as we're recording now, but Friday is the deadline. I think they are, some pretty sensible picks. I don't blame you for going for those two. Tom, who have you gone for?
Yeah, I'll start off by agreeing with Izzy there. I've got Martinez in as well. I think her record from last season speaks for itself, really, how good she is. I think it is going to be one where I'll be listening intently to Rhiannon Skinner's press conference on Thursday. Very helpful of West Ham to put it on Thursday to give us fancy managers some planning time. I hope somebody asks Rhiannon Skinner about Martinez's fitness. I'm sure they will. And so we'll see whether she's able or not to play. So it might be some last minute changes. I've also got Bethany England as well. I like her at 7.5. She scored a lot of goals last season. She's always very reliable. And I think even when Tottenham aren't playing well, it doesn't really affect her. She still scores, so you don't really have to rely on Tottenham having a good burst of form this season. She's probably still going to get you points. And I've also got Turland as well. I think mainly for that first game, I think I'm trying to leave 1 million in the bank so that I can potentially move to Shaw for game week 2. Shaw could well score against Chelsea, but it's much more likely that Turland's going to score against Leicester, isn't it, really? So I've put her in. And I think at the moment, maybe, I'm trying to plan in advance, and I need some Chelsea players in the team ASAP. So kind of the plan might be to bring in Aggie Beaver-Jones with that hat-trick last weekend. She's been making things quite hard, especially for game week 3 when they've got Leicester at home. I'll really probably be trying to move things around to get at least 2 Chelsea attackers in for that one. Probably Sandy Baltimore for Manon maybe at some point, but I digress. But I think, that's my team.
Yep, that all sounds pretty sensible to me, to be honest. So I did mean saying to you as well, just before you finish that bit. Michelle Adjumang, I think at 6 million is a really cheap signing. I remember seeing, I'm pretty sure when it was announced that like the prices started coming out, I think it was before Adjumang signed for Brighton. And I think 6 million at Arsenal sounds right because she probably wouldn't get that much pitch time, but 6 million at Brighton could be a really good steal because she's going to get a lot of pitch time. And if she plays, I'm not going to say as well as she did in the Euros, she's going to have a very different role at Brighton. She's not going to be coming on with a few minutes to go. But if she plays like she did towards the end of last season at Brighton, obviously probably being a bit more of a star player this season, I think she could be a real good steal at 6 million. So let's just go over our teams as a little recap. I'll go over mine first. So for game week 1, I have Fallon Tullis-Joyce in goal at home to Leicester. I've got a back 3 of Anna Sandberg, Lotte Wubben-Moy and Koga. In midfield, I've got a 4 of Sondi Baltimore, Victoria Pelova, Mariana Caldente, who is my vice-captain at the moment, although that might change. Mike Hamano at home to City, rounding off that 4. And then up front, I've got Beth England, Kelly Gago, and then Elizabeth Turland is my captain. My 3 outfielders on the bench are Miki, Ellie Carpenter and Maz Pacheco in that order. The only change I think I might make from here is changing the captain and the vice-captain. About, do I put in Turland or do I put in Caldente as that? At the moment, I'm leaving it at Turland, but I think I'll probably leave it that way unless we hear anything of Turland picking up a knock or something. I think it will stay that way around because I think she's just more likely to net than Mariana Caldente is, to be honest. Izzy, I'll come to you first. Go through your team, please.
Yep, so I've got Fallon Tullis-Joyce in goal and then a back 3 of Ellie Carpenter, Dominic Janssen, Maz Pacheco. And then in my midfield, I've got Maisie Simons, Kyra Cooney-Cross, Marina Caldente, who I have gone for captain. But yeah, whether I look at that again before the weekend, similar to you, and Katrina Gorry. And then front 3 of Michelle Adjumang, Alessia Russo and Shakira Martinez. So fingers crossed.
And finally, Tom?
Yeah, so I've got completed the hat-trick of Fallon Tullis-Joyce in goal. McCabe, Letitia, Venegas at the back. And then Vignola, Manham, Kafaji, and then Caldente is my vice-captain. And then Martinez, England, and Turland is my captain as well. I don't see Turland. I think I'm pretty set on her being captain. Maybe the only change, I might transfer out Martinez if we get news that she's injured. Or I might just, if she's only going to be out for a week, I might just bring in Ishikawa instead of her.
Yeah, keep her on the bench. So obviously it's 2 transfers each week as the game goes on. And yeah, there will be many to make as we go. But I think with 2 transfers each week and then 3 players from each team on the pitch, there does need to be like a little bit of forward planning as well, which is why I know my team at least. And it sounds like you two, to be honest, have done the same, looking a bit ahead about what fixtures are coming up. We've not gone for many players from London City Lionesses, for example. It's more, they've got a horrible run, but getting those players in is more for a budget reason rather than a scoring reason. The game week 1 deadline is Friday, 6:30 UK time. So we've still got, as you're listening, to this, probably about 2 days to go. So do make sure that you've got them there. Do make sure, if you haven't already, download the Aerial Fantasy app, join the Decoding the WSL League. Once you made your team, go to the league section and use the code Stats and Facts. As I mentioned earlier, there are prizes this season. Whoever wins the Decoding the WSL League will get either 2 tickets to a WSL match of their choice or a WSL shirt of your choice, whichever one you would prefer. And of course, like I mentioned as well, there will be shout outs each game week for whoever is first in the league and whoever is the top scoring player in the Decoding the WSL League. Other than that, that's us rounded up. Hopefully you enjoyed that, listener. Hopefully you got a bit out of that. If you did find anything really useful in there, do let us know in the comments, because I'm kind of intrigued to see if anyone changes what they've picked, or if there are any players we've mentioned or any reasons behind the players they mentioned that you haven't thought of. So yeah, let us know in the comments if you've changed anything, or if you might change something based on what we say. But other than that, thank you for tuning in to Decoding the WSL. If you enjoyed the episode, don't forget to follow, subscribe, all that good stuff. Follow us at Decoding the WSL on Instagram. There's going to be plenty of content on there throughout the season. And we are obviously, as I mentioned before as well, we are now on Patreon. You can become a friend of the pod for just £3 a month, and the money received goes towards producing the podcast you can just head to patreon.com and search for Decoding the WSL. But other than that, you can follow us individually on social media as well. I am at Statarino, and you should be able to find me on X and on Instagram. Izzy, how about you?
I think I'm at Isabel Gilligan on X, or Izzy Gilligan everywhere else. I need to change that.
And Tom?
I'm Tom Marzi on X. Don't make the mistake that Golf Ireland did. They tagged me. My cousin, who's also called Tom Mar, is a sports photographer, and they tagged me having taken these absolutely incredible photos on the golf course in Ireland. So just big shout out to him, very talented, and it was fun that people thought that I was that talented for a couple of minutes. But don't make that mistake.
I wonder if cousin Tom gets any sort of appreciation for fantastic writing for the halfway line and brilliant takes on Decoding the WSL. But yeah, you can follow us individually, or obviously you can go and follow the podcast as well. And as the WSL season gets underway, obviously we all produce, well, I guess kind of slightly different types of content. I know you obviously both write for the halfway line as well. Izzy, you do stuff for the Gooner fanzine as well. I obviously post a lot of stats basically everywhere, as Statarino might suggest. And then Decoding the WSL is all the podcast stuff. But yeah, thank you very much for joining us today, listener. Hope you've enjoyed it. I hope you're looking forward to game week 1. I certainly am. And we'll see you at the next one.